Julio Caesar Chavez versus Aaron The Hawk Pryor. Going out to Peter Garcia. Let's get into it. First of all, I'd like to apologize that it's taken so long to cover this video. Things have slowed down a lot in my life, so I'll be able to get out more videos and to answer more requests. And for two, I don't think I did this video before. Something in the back of my mind keeps telling me I covered this video, but just in case I didn't, I'm gonna do it again, and hopefully I don't contradict myself, because you can see different things on any given day. Boxing is a very complex sport. So Aaron The Hawk Pryor versus Julio Caesar Chavez. Let's get into it. Aaron The Hawk Pryor is probably the best volume puncher in boxing. Puts on a lot of pressure, lets his hands go. He's just unrelenting, coming forward. I'm just throwing punches and bunches from every possible angle. So Aaron Pryor is there to fight. Very entertaining guy, crowd pleaser, very pleasing to the eye. Julio Caesar Chavez. He's known for his brute power, for his toughness. He himself is a great pressure fighter, and just very tough, just has a lot of heart. So stylistically, and this would be an action-packed fight. It would be a brutal fight. I mean, you're gonna see some action in this fight, and you're gonna see some violence in this fight. Of course, Chavez has the better resume. He's more seasoned and the more experienced of the two, as far as I can see. So let's get into it. We know the styles makes fights. They really do. And on one hand, I can see Aaron Pryor outworking Chavez. But on the other hand, I can see Chavez breaking Pryor down in the late rounds. Pryor has a lot of energy, but there are spots in his performances to where he's tired himself out. And I believe it was either I can't remember which fight it was with Arguello. I can't remember if it was the first fight or the second fight, to where Arguello tagged him a couple of times because he punched himself out. So he runs the risk of punching himself out. And you can't punch yourself out against Julio Caesar Chavez. Reminiscent of the Taylor fight, of the Meldrick Taylor fight. I don't want to get into the stoppage of that fight. That's for another video, for another time. But in a lot of ways, I can see the same scenario. And the thing is, Meldrick Taylor was boxing smart, conserving his energy. But Chavez walked him down and punished him. And so I can see Aaron Pryor possibly outworking Chavez. I really could. But then, can you keep that up for 12 rounds? Because for one, he's not knocking Chavez out. Aaron Pryor's a volume puncher, but he's not knocking Chavez out. And something else you have to ask yourself. Can Pryor get Chavez's respect? See, fighters like Chavez, you have to hit them with something to get their respect. Otherwise, they're gonna bully you around the ring. You know, and Arguello was a great fighter, but he didn't have the toughness of Chavez. He wasn't as durable as Chavez. So Chavez and Pryor are both going to be coming forward. They're both going to try to stand their ground, not give up any ground. But I just see Chavez being too tough for Pryor. I see Pryor having early success. I see Pryor scoring a lot of points. I see him up on the scorecards, but I see him fading down the stretch. I see him expending too much energy and paying for it. And I see Chavez coming on late in the same fashion that he did with Meldrick Taylor. So I'm going to go with Chavez by stoppage around round 6 or 7. So those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think, and I will see you on the next video. The Canelo Alvarez and David Benavidez hypocrisy. What is the Canelo Alvarez and David Benavidez hypocrisy? Well, I'm glad you asked. Well, it's no secret that Canelo receives a lot of criticism for who he chooses to fight. No matter who he chooses to fight, it's always going to be a cherry pick. He's always going to be accused of ducking someone else. And keep in mind that that Bivol, Caleb Plant, and BJ Saunders were all undefeated when Canelo fought them. Plant and Saunders were both previously unbeaten until Canelo put the first blemishes on their records. Canelo cannot get any credit for beating two up-and-coming undefeated fighters back to back. But Benavidez is praised for beating a washed-up fighter in David Lemieux. No disrespect to David Lemieux, but this fight should have never taken place. For one, it was a horrible mismatch. For two, someone could really get hurt. I didn't watch this fight. I didn't want to watch this fight because I knew what was going to take place. And the fact that this fight took place should be an embarrassment to the sport. But Benavidez gets praise for beating a washed-up fighter who had no chance. But Canelo is criticized for fighting hot prospects, for beating hot prospects who did have a chance, in my view. So David Benavidez is put on a pedestal for beating a washed-up fighter, but Canelo Alvarez is called a ducker and a cherry picker for fighting top-quality, undefeated guys, for going up to 175. Yes, he lost. Fighters lose. Get over it. But he took the challenge, and yes, I'm going to say it. He dared to be great. Yes, I'm going to say it. He dared to be great. Yes, I'm going to say it. He dared to be great. So what's wrong with that picture? And so it's okay for Benavidez to beat the hell out of a washed-up fighter who didn't have any chance, who didn't belong or had no business at 168 pounds. But then you're gonna criticize Canelo for actually fighting top competition. If that's not hypocrisy, then I don't know what is. You all hate Canelo that much. Canelo could go all the way up to heavyweight and challenge Tyson Fury, and y'all still call him a cherry picker. But David Benavidez beats the hell out of a washed-up fighter in David Lemieux. David Lemieux has always been overrated to me, and that's with all due respect. I do my best to respect everyone who steps through those ropes. But Triple G took Lemieux's soul. He took his soul. And David Benavidez gets credit for fighting a washed-up fighter who hasn't fought in a while and who everybody knew didn't have a chance. But he gets praised for it. Now his boogeyman status is solidified. And now he's going to kill Canelo because he killed. And I'm just speaking figuratively, because he beat the hell out of a washed-up fighter. You fans are something else. You fans are a real piece of work. And if you don't feel that applies to you, don't take offense to it. But if it does apply to you, you are a piece of work, and you should take offense to it. Because Canelo is actually fighting quality opponents. He may not be fighting exactly who you want to see him fight when he wants to fight them, but you know good and well that Caleb Plant, BJ Saunders, and Dimitri Bivol were quality opponents. But because you hate Canelo so much, you're going to downplay his selection of opponents. But David Benavidez, who only fights once a year, fights a washed-up fighter, destroys a washed-up fighter, and now you all are putting this guy on a pedestal. You all are hyping him up. Now, I'm not going to totally discredit Benavidez. I mean, he's a dangerous fighter. Throws great combinations, throws hard punches, accurate with his shots. But all I'm saying, like you boxing fans like to say, keep the same energy. Keep the same doggone energy. And so Canelo fights top competition, and I don't care if you didn't want to see him fight Plant, Bivol, or Saunders. Those are top guys. Those are guys who you would give a real chance. I mean, I'd rather have seen Benavidez in a rematch with Durrell, with Anthony Durrell. You know, that's a rematch that's overdue. But you all are gonna hype him up because he destroyed a washed-up fighter who did not have a chance. Come on, people. Come on. I can go on and on, but I won't. I will see you on the next video.